I have Petrus here, and hello. Now we are live. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Gonna give it a couple of more minutes so more people have the chance to join. Where's everyone from? Just curious. If you guys don't mind to just write in the chat so we can read it. Can you hear us? Can you say yes, no, if you can hear me? No, you cannot hear me?
I can see some hellos. Yes.
I see, but guys, can you type if you can hear us?
Yeah, I'm getting here some feedback like, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. No, sorry, I had a delay on my end. Jesus. Test. Let's maybe 2 more minutes and then we start. So where's everyone from? Lagos, I see. Brazil, Lagos again. Nice. We have India as well. Hello, we have Colombia. Nice. Colombia, Brazil. I can hear your lovely voice. Thank you, Saga. Venezuela, but you live now in Chile. Nice. Hey, welcome. Which city in Chile? Oh, Paraguay. One more minute, and then we're gonna jump into it. Petrus, how do you feel today?
I'm great actually.
Wonderful. It's your day off, right?
Yeah. Today it's my day off. Yeah.
Wow. So, thank you. Well, everyone, let's start. It is recorded for everyone who joins a little bit later. And so I'm Stephanie. I'm head of events at Van Heck, and I'm super happy and proud to be joined by Petrus today. He is a DevOps engineer or a cloud architect working in Canada for 5 years now, and in total he has over 20 years of experience. So he has a wealth of knowledge he's going to share with all of you today. We specifically talk about the interview process and focus really on the technical interview process. He will share all his expertise, and of course you are more than welcome to ask questions. Just type them in the chat and we go through them. Welcome, Petrus. Super happy to have you here, and thank you to be actually here with us on your day off. So thanks a lot. And I hand over to you now.
Thank you for having me, Stephanie. So today I'm going to talk about technical interviews in DevOps perspective. Just to start, I'd like to introduce myself. So who I am this guy. I'm a father of 2 girls. I am Brazilian. I live in Canada since December 2015, when I decided to move to Canada. I have 20 years experience in IT. I blog for thinkdevops.io. I'm a Van Hack Premium since January 2016. So yeah, it's a long time ago. And today I'm gonna talk a little bit about this interview process, which I used to do here in Canada. I did this for a few companies. so let's start. Just to start, I would like to tell you one thing. All the time, the company wants to hire you. Why I'm telling you that? Because lots of people get scared. Oh my gosh, maybe the guy want to ask me like tricky questions. They just want to hire you. As soon they hire, they are happy. So don't keep keep free your mind open for feedbacks. Okay.
Pedro, one quick question. Maybe everyone is curious as well. How was your journey to actually get this job in Canada? So maybe to give everyone a little bit overview, how was it for you? If you don't mind to share this.
Sure, I can. No problem. So, as I said, like I arrived here in December 2015. I arrived just because my wife wants to study English. I was working for an international consultancy, and just like, okay, she comes to study, and let's keep like for a few time here, and we just got okay. A week later, my daughter and my wife, I had just one at this time. She said, hey, we are not returning home. Let's live here. So we just make we start our interview process, etc. So I just got, I signed a premium with VanHack exactly to get this kind of approach, because I did not have experience in like interviewing, that kind of thing. And we already have Ilya here working in Vancouver and giving this kind of support. I just signed with them and start to use it. So VanHack helped me with my resume at this time. I just got a few interviews using VanHack service, but I got later I got the work. So I got my work permit. I just a month later I was hired. So it was a great success for me. Yeah, I think that was it.
Thank you. So now please continue.
Yep, sure. So as I said, like the company wants to hire you. So don't keep your mind open and open for feedbacks as well, which is another good thing. So next thing that I would like to tell you, never lie. Never lie. If something like this happen, you are just out. So nobody, maybe the guy can keep the interview going, but when they finish, they will chat and they say, hey, he lied about this point. So that's not good. Look, this mistake, it's okay. An error is okay. Lie, it's not okay. Okay. Are you trying to speak something, Stephanie? I cannot hear you.
Jesus, sorry. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry. I was just wondering if you can be a little bit more specific. What is a lie? So give some examples so everyone knows what we are speaking about.
Yeah, lots of time we got lies about background. The guy say, hey, I got a situation like this. The guy say, hey, I have lots of experience with this migration database stuff here to the cloud. And then when we started, I asked him 2-3 questions. He got in trouble. And I just said, okay, he was lying. And he just, in the middle, he said, oh, no. I didn't have that kind of experience, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, let's go over them, forget him, never mind. But when we finish, hey, the guy, he just put something that he doesn't have experience on his resume, So it's a kind of lie that nobody supports, So yeah, that's kind of lie that I would like to show you.
So I want to just say something. What is very important, because I see it a lot. A lot of people think as more as I put or add in my resume, as better it looks. But this is exactly where this conflict arises. So if you, I don't know, good example, if you touch the technical language for 1 month, don't put it in your resume and say you're good at, because this will look like a lie. Is that what you mean, Petros?
Yes, exactly. You can say, I have a month experience in this language. Nice. I'm low level. I'm not that deep in that language. Okay, that's nice. Nobody will ask you deep questions because they know you're not experienced, But if you say, I have experience, I did it by myself, I was responsible for it. So they're expecting you more stuff.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So let's talk just a little bit about the interview steps. Yeah, usually start with HR, like a screening interview. So usually Van Hack they already did this part, yeah. And when you got to the interview, you already have like some stuff. They already have some information. So usually you just start with technical interview, yeah. So we have they check your background, ask you questions, and like usually they send you code tests, exercise to do, and schedule your interviews, the next steps. And then one thing that you have to do, you have to try to identify the main tools that you have for that position. So the main tools and technology that you have for this position, you have to try to identify exactly. It's a time to ask questions to HR. So maybe you can ask them like, hey, this is the kind of tool that you are using. You can make some questions on it. Maybe the HR is they're not capable to reply like proper response 100%, but they can give you some information. It's valuable for you. And then first thing that I would like to tell you, organize your project somewhere. I don't know if you want to use LinkedIn, if you want to use a documentation, a big curriculum, which you can just keep your information there centralized, but it's going to be very important for a STAR method. And then we have the technical interview.
Just Petros, 1 second. I feel like we are going very fast through the different steps. So I have one question here. What background check is done by companies usually?
Yeah, I'm talking about everything here. I'm talking about your technical background.
Okay.
So usually HR just ask you your experience. Usually HR do not have. That's normal, yeah. The guy don't have like lots of deep knowledge about some IT stuff. It's usually they have more. It's more HR. Really, they want to know lots of things about people. Yeah, and not about technical usually.
Exactly. So that they want to get to know you as a person, right? They want to know who you are, and if you are aligned with the values of the company. And also, very important, they want to understand if you did some research about the company and you know what is it about.
Yeah, it's one thing that I really did not add here. It's very important one. Yeah. So usually it's good to read a little bit about the company, maybe visit the website, read some case, etc.
I really want to highlight this because I get a lot of feedback from companies. Oh, the person didn't know what we are doing, what we are about. And what I can tell you guys, you are out at this moment. You can be technically the best person in the world. If you don't know what the company is doing and have a conversation, that's it. So it is very important as well to do this step. Sorry to interrupt you. I just
No way. That's okay. No problem at all. So yeah, and one thing that I would like to talk about, the other time you're speaking now about it, I saw a guy that he got hired because he asked like good questions. Like the final decision was this. Like the guy, he's very interested in the company, etc. So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good catch. They're saying no audio.
Try again, Anil. Log in and log out if something is. The rest of you guys can hear us still? Someone, you cannot hear anything?
I can hear you, Stephanie.
Yeah, I do. Can someone else? You can hear. It's okay for you. So usually what you need to do if you don't have audio, you need to check on your computer the settings and maybe log out of the webinar again and join again. Please. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah. So the technical interview, the guy will ask you like, now you are going for deep questions about your background experience. Yeah. If usually that's not a role 100% of the times. Most of the cases, if you fit 60 to 70% of the position, you are in a good position and probably you're going to get hired. So and try to keep focus in your most recent projects. Okay, try to keep your projects on feet to give them explanation and detail. because yeah, nobody asks you a kind of question. Hey, do you know how can you change the Linux file permission? This usually you leave for HR, which is like just one response. Yeah, so it's a kind of thing that we are not doing anymore. We don't do that kind of question anymore. So as I said, you feed. I told you like you have to try to map the main tools and technologies. If you feed 60 to 70% of these technologies, probably going to get hired. So there are some tools that you have to have for the position, and some of them it's nice to have. So if you can catch this must have, you're good. Okay. And the final interview, usually just a call, HR call you to say, hey, congratulations, would like to extend your opportunity, etc. And we go for technical interview tips.
Yay.
Yeah. So let's go for it. What DevOps need to know? The first thing that I would like to tell you is understand what DevOps do. Understand what is DevOps. Lots of people, when we ask this kind of question, they don't know exactly how can you get hired for a position which you don't know what you're doing, So it's I kind of feel like, okay, I know I know how to do, but I don't know what I'm doing. So it's a kind of, okay, why you're applying for this position, and you have to know actually a public cloud provider. Just like one is must have. You have to have one. So AWS, GCP, Azure, any of them, it's good to have because lots of those tools you have the same tool in one cloud provider, another one you have the same thing, but it's different name, but it's the same tool, work the same way, use the same thing. So it's a kind of easy to walk through them. To get specialized 100% all of them, I think it's very difficult. There are some people that got there. So yeah, it's a kind of difficult as well. CI/CD, Git, and pipelines, you have to know what is this. Configuration management, so I'm talking about Chef, Ansible, Puppet. It's a kind of thing that you have to have as well. You have to know what is infrastructure as code, so you know what I'm talking about. Lots of people say, oh, infrastructure as code is the same as configuration management, etc. I'm not that kind of approach. I think they're separated, and their configuration management is part of infrastructure as code as well. And we have Terraform. We have lots of tools that they have this kind of approach. A container technology and orchestration. So I'm talking about Docker, Kubernetes, Docker Swarm, Containerd, etc. So it's a kind of thing that you have to have as well. Linux. Lots of people get in trouble with Linux. It's one thing that you have to study. I saw now some DevOps which they don't have this kind of experience. Just think, okay, if you have some trouble, okay, you're not performing good, you have to know how to troubleshoot it, this one. So it's one thing that you have to study. Because if you cannot support your DevOps tools, so it's almost 90% of what do I see here in Canada about DevOps usually is Linux. Okay, 90%, not all the time. We have a few exceptions. Sometimes they ask you two things. Oh, you have to have Linux and Windows as well. So it's a different thing, but usually that's what I see most of the times. And monitoring log tools. So good to have Prometheus, Grafana, Negus, Istinga. It's a kind of tool. It's free. Lots of people use it. And it's very, very good to have as well. Any web service technology. As I said, it's the same thing, like SSL. If you know SSL, something like that, how can you store certificate in a Tomcat? It's going to be easy for you to understand how it's going to work in Apache. So it's a good thing to have just one. If you have just one, it's okay. The people understand, you can learn. It's going to be faster than you have no experience. And any SQL solution, it's very good to have as well. And security approach. Lots of DevOps, they have no idea when we talk about security. That's not good. That's one thing that you have to learn. So you have to know what is firewall groups, etc. Have to know what is this. Maybe you don't need to. Oh, I'm super fine using all the time. No, but you have to know if they ask you what is this. You have to know, because then you know you get there. Maybe you can learn a little bit. There are some, nobody hire you waiting. You have 100% of knowledge about everything. They were like hoping, if you, as I said, like 60 to 70% is okay, because you can produce, you can work, and then you can learn some stuff as well. And the star method. I think this is autocorrection. It's star, not start. The star method is a structured manner of responding to a behavior-based interview question. The focus is work-related challenges usually. So usually a question raised like, oh, tell me about a time when you did something specifically. How have you ever faced an issue? And then they just keep asking question exactly about this, in this approach. And they wait for you for a response. And the response, it's based in, as a star method, it's situation, task, action, and result. So when you are applying them, they are waiting for something like, okay, describe the event, So one good catch is that one. Always remember who, what, where, when, how you did it. It's one thing that you have to know. Then you give them like the situation, how this happened. You explain the task, which you were responsible for. So, I did it. I was responsible to do this action. Because sometimes you are just a part of solutions. You are not covering everything. And the action, what did you do exactly? Which action did you took to handle this issue? So it's a kind of, you have to tell them. And the result, what was the final result? It was great. We saved lots of money. So we had a big outage and just fixed it based on this and that, etc.
Petrus, can you give us an example? Maybe an example for your career. So it's always, I feel like it's easier to understand if we can have it more visual.
Yeah, sure. Like we have a big system, and we have a big issue in our data center, which we lost, where we lost everything, like all down. And then why this happened? Because we had a power outage in the area, in the data center area. And then how did I handle? I got there like physically to start everything from scratch. So I have to bring it up everything. And exactly I have to bring it up all the services and test everything to see if all the services is up and running. I have another guy working in another place with me because he was testing exactly the web service, etc. And I was testing the hardware. If all the services bring it up, if he needs some support local, I was there as well. So my action was exactly bring it up everything. Test each one, check if all the hardware was up. If you worked with, if the person which watching me, have you ever worked with infrastructure, you know what I'm talking about. When we bring it up service, lots of time they don't bring it up. We get in trouble. It's when we are talking about hundreds of servers, so you can get in this kind of trouble. Oh, we have to bring it up, we have to check, etc. And the final result was we saved lots of money for the company because these outages do not impact just my company. Lots of people getting the same problem. As we had the proper training, we just make this happen very fast. And our system, like an hour later, was up and running, and lots of people get 2-3 hours in the same issue. So it's a kind of, we trained it before, we had proper training, etc. Because that we got this good result. That would be a good example.
Perfect. Thank you. I think that's very, very helpful.
Yeah. And as I said, nobody asks you more questions like, hey, do you know this tool? Like, no, give me an example that you faced some issue using this tool. Exactly. I got here an example like, hey, have you ever faced a member lake using Kubernetes? How did you identify that? So it's a kind of question there. They want you to know if you know how can you troubleshooting memory issues in the server. So they ask you that kind of question because he wants to know if you know about Kubernetes and how to troubleshoot them. So it's a kind of thing that you have to be concerned about. Nobody, as I said, nobody will ask you, I have a disk access. Which command can you use? No, they will ask you, hey, have you ever faced this issue? So you were suspect about this, etc. Which command did you use and how did you use it? So they're expecting you. Oh, I'm running IO stats in this example here. I'm saying, oh, I'm using IO stat, and then I'm just refreshing every 5 seconds, and then I know how the IO it's going. So, oh, it's a virtual machine. It was installed on AWS. So I just got there and checked how many IOPS I had available for this instance, and maybe I can find a solution increasing the disk and get more IOPS. So it's a kind of thing that the interviewer it's waiting for interviewee. Another question, lots of people ask that. Share an example of time which you make CI/CD pipeline works. How did you do it? Which tool did you use it? So give them like this kind of example. Say, hey, I did this. I used Jenkins. I built this CI/CD pipeline. It was working fine. I configured in Git and in Jenkins they work together. And then I was using and it was working fine, etc. So it's a kind of, nobody asks you if you know how did you do your Jenkins, not, how did you install? No, they will ask you how did you use it. Give me an example. We have experience with that. And that's a good one, the cloud scenario. I like to do that kind of question. Obviously, I'm not going to do it anymore because I'm telling them now. So usually I ask them like, hey, I have I'm a company, I hired you. I have 2 servers, 2 load balancers, and 2 databases. Like 10 servers, 2 load balancers, 2 databases. I want to migrate that to the cloud because I'm hiring you to do that. Just tell me how can you do it, which pieces are involved on that, etc. And then I'll wait for a response. So the guy will tell me, I built the VPCs, I built the security groups, I built the routing table, I built the EC2 machines, I built this. So it's time to show you your technique. So you have to be concerned about security, about cost, about how he wants to handle. When the guy give you no limits, you can guess whatever you want. It's a good thing. Maybe you can ask them, hey, do you have a limitation? Which load balancer would like to use? We have this, and that option. Which one do you want to pick? So it's a kind of, if you raise this kind of question, the people like. They like this kind of approach because they said, okay, you are concerned about security, about which option is best for me. So you are offering me, we have this set of tools here, and I think that one's the best one for you. What do you think about it? Maybe they can have a different approach and think a different thing for you from the solution. And maybe the guy will ask you new questions based on your response. So it's a kind of thing that you have to know what you're talking about when you talk about cloud scenario. And another thing is a web service. Lots of people say, I have experience with web service. Okay, how can you configure SSL certificate in your service? They're waiting for you. Like, hey, okay, give me a response, give me a proper example. And then the people will you have to try to get your best approach about this and say, hey, I installed this certificate, I put a file in this one, I configured in this file, point to SSL file, to private certificate, etc. So it's a kind of thing that people are waiting for you. If you say you have experience on it, they are waiting for you in this case. I got sometimes a kind of troubleshooting. In the past, I got an interview, which I was applying for a position. And the guy he asked me a very good question. He said, hey, I have here, it was a solution. He said, I have just one API, and the API is responsible just sometimes. Sometimes it's working, giving the proper response, sometimes giving me a wrong response. What did you do? I said, okay, so I'm guess anything behind. So I said, okay, I have a load balancer in front of it. Yeah, I had. Okay, so I just passed through. I'm not using the load balancer. I'm going directly for the server to test if the load balancer is an issue for my solution. Oh yeah, okay, you did a good one. So why? Yeah, I'm guessing he has a load balancer, and he just said, okay, yeah, that's it. So you can guess when they give you no limits, you can guess whatever you want, but just ask them, be clear, telling them like, hey, I have this because I'm waiting for this result. So I told them like, hey, I have this load balancer. Oh, no, it's load balancer, not an issue. Okay, I go direct for the server. What the result? Oh, the result is the same. Okay, do you have monitoring tool? Yeah, what the monitoring tool is telling you? The monitoring tool is telling me it's all good, no issues at all. Okay, so I have some database. What do I have? I have an application. This was an application server. Okay, and are they running up and all good? Yeah, you check the logs, no issues at all. You are just inquiring the database. Oh, okay, I have the database behind the scene. Okay, good one. Which database it is? Oh, it was running Cassandra. Okay, great. Can I check the Cassandra cluster? Yeah, you get the response, but you tried again, you got the same result as the API, the same issue. Okay, good. So we have an issue on the database. It was out of sync. One node was responsive, like giving me a wrong response. Okay, so I removed them from the cluster, and now it's all good. So I thought this test was awesome. The guy asked, like, spent 5 minutes. He learned about my troubleshooting skills. I know about load balancers. I know about troubleshooting applications. I know Cassandra. So just 5 minutes, he got lots. He mapped he mapped exactly what you do. So it's a kind of thing that kind of question, it's very good. And there are some guys, they're awesome about that kind of question. And I will probably open for a question here now. And just one thing, where you can find me. You can find me in my LinkedIn and thinkdevops.io. It's a website that I blog for. I have some videos there over there as well. So it's one thing that you can find me.
Wow, Petrus, thank you. Thanks a lot. Wow, impressive. Yes, and now I love the part about the questions. I saw questions coming in. Let me just scroll a little bit back. So I want to make sure we don't forget any questions. And everyone, please continue ask questions. Today you have the chance to speak someone who probably have not every answer, but a lot of answers for you. So use it. So we have Victor asking, I've worked over 3 years as a full stack developer, including managing my own DevOps pipeline and those of my teammates on Azure. Should this qualify me for a DevOps role?
Yeah, each position has, as I said, we have 50 to 60% to fill. Okay, so if you fill this group, because some DevOps position, DevOps, as I said, like, it's wide, it's very, very open world. So sometimes I interviewed a guy, which he was like almost a developer, and he worked as DevOps. So his company needs someone with lots of dev background. So maybe you're good fit for this position. But maybe you're not good for another one, which is asking more configuration management and infrastructure as code stuff. So maybe, okay, you have to build machines, you have to keep, create exactly the background. So maybe it's not good fit for you. So it depends on the position, but definitely, you can. As I said, if you fit 60 to 70% of the position, I think you should apply. If you fit this much of tools, if you have 10 tools, and 6 of them, you know what you're talking about, to have worked with that, apply. So you can apply, no problem at all.
Yeah, I totally agree to that. Specifically, DevOps, there are so many different definitions by different companies, what a DevOps is supposed to do in the role. So some of them really expect a strong development background, other focus on other things. So it depends a little bit on the role, but everyone needs to start somewhere. And there are for sure companies who are looking for what you have done, Victor. Let's go to the next one. Sonu is asking, I'm working mainly on Elasticsearch projects, have experience of different types of implementations. How's the acceptance of log processing and future in Canada specifically?
In Canada specifically, I think Canada is very close to US in this topic. And this topic, it's on hype now. It's good time to have it. Elasticsearch usually probably have Elastic Stack, something like that, if you're using logs. So I can tell you this is very good one. But usually I never see someone hiring just because you have Elasticsearch knowledge. It's one thing nice to have and sometimes must have. But I don't think just that one is a good one. You have to have more experience in more stuff, but definitely have this kind of experience is very good. And the future I can see, it's growing. It's not going to stop. So,
true. Tech will never stop, I feel like. I know we spoke a little bit about it in the past, but maybe we can go back. What are the tools for DevOps? What are some of the main tools?
Yeah, okay. Like, there is one thing. You have to, some stuff that we have to have. A DevOps has to have exactly. You have to know one CI/CD tool. So maybe you can use, I don't know, Bamboo, or maybe you can use Octopus, or maybe you can use Jenkins, but you have to have the minimum is one. Okay, so as I said, lots of those tools, they do the same thing, just different approach. So if you know how to do in one, to doing the other one it's not gonna be that difficult. So you have to have one CI/CD. Definitely, you have to have one configuration management as well. Sometimes the company like, I need CI/CD and configuration management, but they don't need 50-50. Maybe they need like 70% CI/CD and 30% configuration management. So they can accept you if you know lots of stuff about CI/CD, lots of tools in CI/CD, but you just like you use it like Ansible one time. So the guy know, okay, he's not specialized that, but I need some CI/CD and which experience that you have. So you're in good position in this case. Like one thing that I feel like I saw lots of people, they don't know Linux. It's one thing that I think if you want to apply for DevOps position, as I said, 90% of the time it's running in Linux. So you have to know Linux. Okay, it's one thing that you have to have. Monitoring tool, it's one thing that like, how can you monitor your pipeline? How can you monitor your system if everything's healthy and working good? And actually, as this, when we use cloud, etc., it's very easy to have lots of servers to scale up and down, to scale in and out, etc. So it's a kind of thing that we have to have knowledge. And a cloud provider, definitely a cloud provider. And it's one thing that we have to have. So yeah, I think those tools, they are the main one. Nice to have Docker and container orchestration. It's another thing that we have to have. It's nice to have, but sometimes I saw some positions asking, and some of them, they don't need a deep guy, lots of experience on it, but they just want you know something. So you study it, you have deployment at your home, you test it. So sometimes it's good, but if you know orchestration, man, you are a very good fit now because it's on the hype. I think that's the main one.
Thank you. So following up with the next question, which public cloud platforms are more used in Canada? Azure, AWS?
Yeah, I think actually, I think AWS the most used, but lots of companies there are moving like to GCP as well and Azure. But I see the most used, I think it's AWS. But I saw position for all of them. So I like, don't keep your mind closer for it, because usually they ask you like, hey, you need to, you must have a cloud provider experience, but it's nice to have Azure. An example. Okay, so you have to have cloud provider experience, public cloud provider, but it's nice to have Azure. So if you have Azure experience, you get exposed to Azure. So maybe the guy will say, okay, so I can interview you, and as we said, if you fit this 6-7%, probably going to get hired.
Yeah, that's very true. If I speak to employers, exactly what Petrus said. You need experience, but if you know one, right, it's easy to learn the other one, and a lot of employers they don't mind. So don't be shy about it if you worked with a different platform. Another question from Ankit. I feel like it's a little bit similar, like Victor's question. How many coding knowledge is required for a DevOps role? So it comes back probably the job description. What is required, right, Petrus?
Yeah, I have a discussion with a guy that he blogs with me in Fik DevOps, which exactly was the question. Exactly that was the question. Hey, how many words do we have to have? So it's one thing. It's a tricky question. As we said, it's very open, the DevOps. So lots of times you don't need to have lots of experience, but few times you have to have. So depends on the position. But one thing that I think you have to know, DevOps has to know that it is you have to know exactly how the development process happen. So you have to know all the process, how the developer do. Maybe you don't need to develop exactly, but you have to know how the developer do. How can you use Git? It's one thing that you have to have definitely. So maybe you don't need to do deep development, but you have to know how the process happen, and because probably you're going to handle it, you have to know how can you deploy, how can you roll back. So if you don't know the process, how can you do it? So it's one thing that you have to know. It's just the process. But as I said, for some position, they're hoping for someone that has lots of deep development experience. Depends on the position.
Thank you. Let's scroll. I have never worked as a DevOps, but I do have some of the skills for DevOps. What are my chances of starting a junior DevOps position? So how can I get into becoming a DevOps?
Yeah. If I'm talking about immigration, I think it's very difficult to find a junior position. Okay, I'm being very honest with you. About immigration, I'm saying like you're living in another country and they hire you. Probably it's very difficult to get a junior position. But sometimes you think you're a junior and you're not junior. So I got some guys that he said, "Oh, I'm a junior," etc. And I interviewed sometime. I interviewed for Van Hack, and some guys asking me, "Oh, I'm 0 out of 10. What's your experience with this tool?" The guy replied me 5. I said, "Okay." So I asked a basic question, and I start to ask more deep questions. And then I keep replying. I said, "Hey, man, you're not 5. Like you're in a better position." So it's a kind of thing. I have you have to test yourself, and we have this situation with the set of tools. So the number of tools that you have exposed, and the number of tools that position is asking for. So I think there is a balance here, and I would tell you like, hey, just do some work and see. Maybe you're not junior. I'm not I cannot. I don't know. I never worked with you, but sometimes you get this kind of thing. So test yourself. Do it.
Thank you. So next question, Saga, which CI or CD practice is used in Canada? Is it more Jenkins, Octopus, Team City?
Yeah, I got the same situation. I got Jenkins. I never used Team City. That's funny, but I never used it. It's more Windows stuff. It's not where I work more. But I saw some guys asking for that. But usually bigger company ask this kind of tool. So sometimes it's Jenkins. Jenkins is one thing that lots of people have it, and the market is always asking because Jenkins has lots of plugins, so it's easy to use with lots of other tools. They integrate easily, so it's a kind of thing. I think it's good to. It's very, very good to have it. Yeah, so I think that's it.
Thank you. The next one from Diego. He had an interview and he had a question where he got asked where he looks or what is he doing to stay updated about the technologies. And in his case, he's from Brazil. He just shared some websites from Brazil, obviously, but he's wondering if he is in an interview process with a Canadian company, they might don't know the Brazilian websites, right? So what would be a good answer, or what should he say?
I think you should say, I should say you read the thinkdevops.io. It's a good one. Just because not just because I'm right for them, okay? So it's something that there are lots of options. It's a kind of difficult question because probably the guy is not waiting for you to reply them few websites. They're waiting for you like, hey, are you still updated? So they're asking you exactly if you are updated. If you get in trouble replying them, maybe you think too much. They say, you're not updated all the time. You're just working as demand. As the people ask, you do it. Then you search for. You're not seeking exactly for websites, etc. But when you are like researching for some specifically tool, you're going to get lots of websites, and there are some guys like they're specialized in one tool. So it's a kind of difficult question to reply because they want you, they want to extend you, to understand you if you are like searching for exactly about tools, etc. They're not waiting for a list of websites.
100%, and you nailed it, Petrus. It's really they want to see if you're open and always of continuous learning. That's what this question is about. At the end, they don't care about the 3 websites you call them. They want to see what you do. It can be side project. It can be. So yes, perfect. Love it. Thank you. Another question. Thank you, everyone, for asking so many great questions. What do you think, Petrus, increases chances to get hired the most? Having a broad view of the whole DevOps ecosystem and tools, or having a strong specialization? Sorry, guys, this is a word I always struggle with, specialization in a particular technology, like a specific cloud provider, for instance.
There are some things that as DevOps you cross lots of area. If you see Van Hack, like we have some cloud engineer positions, which it's like, okay, you are DevOps, you are super specialized, you have lots of cloud provider knowledge. Okay, maybe you can fit in DevOps and cloud engineer as well. No, and depends on the position exactly. And some people ask, oh, the guy needs a cloud engineer, but he's asking for DevOps, just a name. So it's one thing that I think you have, particular cloud provider is one thing that you have to have. And as I said, if you understand the process, if you understand what is CI/CD, if you have used Jenkins, an example, or Ansible for configuration management, Terraform, etc., the guy will know about it. Like, okay, to change the tool, it's okay, but I can see this guy, he's researching, he's updated, he's working all the time on it. So I think the ecosystem that you have to have, it's open mind and know exactly how the process works. The tool is just a tool. If you have the knowledge how to do it, the tool is just a tool. It's like development. You're a developer. Developing C++ or Java will be different. Sure, the tool will be, but how to develop, it's the same way. No difference.
That's so true. Similar but different. I have experience installing and managing bare metal Kubernetes, but not with cloud. How big of a barrier do you think is it to find a position like with this background?
Yeah, this is a very specifically one. I saw some companies, they're hiring for bare metal. That's funny. There are some companies that are like rolling back from the cloud and they're going for private cloud. Exactly because they have a big environment, spend lots of money with public cloud, so they prefer to return to step back and go for cloud for private cloud. But as we said, it's cloud. They're different tool, etc. But it's cloud. You deploy, you use the same tool. We have Terraform for OpenStack. We have Terraform, the same Terraform we use for cloud for AWS or Azure or GCP. So it's the same tool, just different technology. So you just different how you deploy it and the limitation that you have with APIs exposed, etc. But it's a kind of thing that. But I saw lots of people are moving to the cloud. So if you know how it works in bare metal, it's going to be easy for you to use it on the cloud. If you have if you're in a doubt because you have Kubernetes experience in bare metal, but you know how works cloud at all, etc. You use it in the past, you test it, and you got an interview, maybe the guy will hire you because you're super specialized in Kubernetes, and you can learn cloud provider through your career here. So I think definitely it's nice to have, but you can extend your knowledge by yourself. Try to test it on the cloud. We have lots of free tools. Actually, you can use like AWS, etc. You can make your own cluster for free. Well, obviously, it's a small one. You're not going to put a production, assistant in production using this thing technology that you have available, but it's a kind of thing that you have to seek for, and don't stop it. If you have this kind of knowledge, you can apply.
Thank you. So we're coming to the last questions now because I'm conscious about the time, but so we have Pinker here. He has many interviews for DevOps, and the interviewer asked 90% about Linux and troubleshooting. They asked rarely about the tools. So he's asking if you have any recommendation how to prepare for it, how to prepare for an interview.
Linux essentials. Linux essentials. Search for it. We have lots of we have this open on YouTube. You can search for it. If you have like Linux position, Linux essentials, you have to know those tools, because those set of tools they bring with Linux, so you already have this available. If you know how those tools works, probably if it's position for Linux, you're a good fit. So search for Linux essentials.
Thank you. Yeah, we still have time. Regarding the interview process, is there a platform like Codility or something they could use you can recommend?
Yeah, sure. If you're using VanHack, you have the HackerRank, you have the cool tests that you can do by yourself. But HackerRank, definitely it's one thing that you have to use if you're searching for a position. It's something that sometimes I just got there and try something because they have like high difficult algorithm to work with, and you have the easily one as well. So sometimes I like to play there. So it's a kind of thing definitely you have to do it. And sometimes I just copy the idea, like pass in a Word document and just do by myself in Visual Code, Visual Studio Code, etc. So it's one thing that it's nice, very, very nice to test sometimes to play around. So HackerRank, definitely go for it.
Sorry guys, I need to get my charger. One more. How much experience should someone have before you add a skill on your resume? So for instance, if someone spends 20 to 30 hours studying and practicing with a practice VM and understand the main parts, but never work with it, should they sell it on the resume?
On the resume, easily, being very honest. You say, I trained 2 to 30 hours by myself. So you can say I built machines, I deployed in 5 to 10 machines. I don't know how did you exactly tested your environment, but one thing that definitely you have to tell them you're in a stud case. And because lots of people, that happened with me, the guy told me that, and I asked him like a question about it. The guy just replied me right away. So better than the people said they have experience. So I said, yeah, this guy is on feet. He's like exactly, he knows what he's talking about. I got a guy, he was interviewing for Kubernetes, and I asked him questions, and he said, oh, don't have that kind of experience. I have just play around, etc. Okay. I asked him a question about Kubernetes architecture, etc. They just replied me like this is smooth. Like, hey, wait, that's it. I did this, I did that, blah, blah, blah. I said, hey, man, you know what I'm talking about. But he said, well, it's just learning, just studying. So it's one thing that you have to say. You're studying. You spend 2 to 30 hours. Sometimes we have you can say like, oh, I have the experience studying this tool. You can say that in your resume. And maybe your cover letter, you give more explanation about it. If the position require this tool, you can say, oh, I have this, I have that, because as we said, like we have to have 60 to 70% of the cover in the position. So if you say I have this and this one more thing to have it, The guy maybe will ask you a question, and this can join to 60 or 70, and they think it could be an issue for your position, but no, it's gonna be like helpful. So just let them know you're studying, you're not working, because if you say you have experience, they will ask you questions about real production, and maybe you can get trouble to reply them.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Make a difference between studying or really using it. So this is a good rule. Would you recommend that someone goes for technical certifications? Is that something companies look for, like having the AWS, Terraform, and so on? Is it necessary?
Technical certification, I mean, okay. It's one thing that the people, if I put in a list and priority list, I would say the first one is experience. The second one is certification. Why? The experience, the guy will ask you production questions. If you have a certification, the guy know you have studied. Okay, so one thing prove for some position it's requirement. So when is a requirement to have the certification, so you have to have. But the first thing I would say it's experience using the tool. So if you don't have experience with specifically tool when you have studied, let them know like, hey, I have studied and I have this set of knowledge here. So it's good to have it. I have the certification, so it's good to have. But definitely it's one thing that is good to have, but maybe it's not must have. You must have when the guy asks you as requirement. It's like some people ask you have to have a degree, a bachelor degree in computer science. It's a requirement. If you don't have, the guy won't hire you. But if they have, like, if you want, for me, certification, it's one thing that you have learned about, you have read about it, you are interested in that. So it's one thing that I think so. I think that's it.
Perfect, thank you. And with that, I know there are more questions, but being conscious about the time, I think we are coming to an end here. Petros, thanks a lot. I learned a lot today. I hope the rest, or I'm 100% sure the rest as well. So really, really a big thank you for taking the time today, sharing your insights. This was super helpful. Everyone who attended today, thank you. The recording obviously will be available afterwards. Petros, maybe 1 or 2 words you just want to share with everyone before we go offline here.
I would like just to thanks to the people to have me here. And thanks for this wonderful welcome. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day, evening, morning, really depending which time zone you're at. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.